What's up everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the craziest, most creative, and layered manga of recent times, Gachiakuta. If you've read this incredible work, you already know it's much more than just frenetic action, stylish art, and charismatic characters. Each chapter delivers a piece of a massive puzzle, mixing social critique, fantasy, mystery, and a world packed with secrets. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The biggest mysteries of Gachiakuta. The goal here is simple. Break down all the enigmas the series has already shown us, the ones that have had hints or partial explanations, and the ones that are still completely open, fueling endless fan theories. So get ready, because this is going to be a long ride, but full of details you don't want to miss. And heads up, spoilers ahead. If you're not caught up with the manga, watch at your own risk. Let's go. 1. The origin of the sphere and the whole. Let's start with what might be the biggest mystery of all, the very world where Gachiakuta takes place. On one side, we have the sphere, a colossal floating island where humanity's elite lives. On the other, we have the whole, the abandoned, toxic surface that's turned into a dumping ground for both trash and unwanted people. The official story says that about 150 years ago, part of humanity abandoned the Earth and went up to live in the sphere. But why? The manga hasn't explained. Was it because of an environmental disaster? Or was it simply the elite separating from the rest of the population? What we do know is that the surface became hellish. Trash and people deemed disposable were thrown down without mercy. This mystery is fascinating because it ties into Gachiakuta's core social critique. Who decides what or who deserves to be discarded? Was the whole once habitable before the sphere was built? And here's the scariest question. Does the sphere drain resources from Earth in order to survive, leaving the ground more and more ruined? We don't have clear answers yet, but it's obvious that when this gets revealed, it'll massively shift how we understand the story. Some fans even speculate that the sphere might not just be a construction, but something alive or artificial, created with lost technology. Imagine if, in the future, we discover the sphere is actually a weapon, or even a disguised floating prison. That's the kind of wild theory that keeps people hooked on this manga. 2. The power system. Givers and vital instruments. Now, let's talk about the power system. In Gachiakuta, powers don't come from pure magic or cosmic energy. They come from something much more human, the emotional bond a person has with an object. When that bond is strong enough, the object absorbs an anima and can become a vital instrument. And the ones who can create and wield these instruments are called givers. Normally, a giver can only transform one object, the one they have the deepest connection with. But then comes Rudo, our protagonist, and breaks all the rules. Using the gloves he inherited from Regto, the famous 3R gloves from the Watchman series, he can transform basically any object into a weapon. From discarded junk to everyday tools, everything becomes lethal in his hands. This leaves us with a bunch of unanswered questions. Does Rudo have something special inside him, something different from other givers? Is it because of the way he sees value in everything discarded, or is it purely due to the Watchman series gloves? The manga suggests it's a mix of both, but never gives a clear answer. Beyond that, we still don't know the exact limits of vital instruments. Are there risks? Does overuse consume the user's life? And then there are the different factions tied to this power. The cleaners, who operate in the whole, the Hellguard, who hunt down criminal givers, and the apostles, who rule over the sphere. How do these organizations really work? Which of them knows the truth about givers? The mystery only grows. One popular fan theory is that givers are connected to the Watchman itself, as if it's the Watchman who provides the spark of life for objects. But that's still just speculation. 3. The Watchman of the Frontier. And since we're talking about it, let's go straight to the third mystery, the Watchman of the Frontier. This is one of the most striking images from Chapter 1. When Rudo is thrown into the hole, he sees a colossal, shadowy being hovering between Earth and the sphere. This creature is called the Watchman. It only shows up a few times, but always in powerful moments. And there's one detail that stands out. Anyone who looks directly at the Watchman ends up with an X-shaped mark in their eyes. What does that mean? A blessing? A curse? No answers yet. The manga also hints that the Watchman is directly connected to the Watchman series. Did it create the items in that series, like Rudo's gloves? Are these artifacts fragments of its body or energy? That would explain the eerie aura they carry. Some fans believe the Watchman is a god, or even the embodiment of the whole itself, the guardian of the border between what's discarded and what's been elevated to the sphere. Others think it's just a creature that survived the cataclysm 150 years ago and got trapped between worlds. Whatever the case, it's still one of the biggest enigmas of the series, and it's likely we won't see the full reveal until a massive turning point. 4. Rudo's past and Regto's secret. No good shonen protagonist comes without mystery, and Rudo is no exception. His life is tragic from the start. Raised by Regto, a respected cleaner, he loses this father figure when Regto is murdered. To make things worse, Rudo is falsely accused of the crime and thrown into the hole. But even before that, shadows were already looming over his story. Rudo's biological father was also condemned and thrown into the hole, accused of a serious crime, before Rudo was even born. But we still don't know what crime that was, or who this man really was. Was he connected to the Givers? Did he know the secret of the Watchman series? Nothing confirmed yet. Then there's the strange detail of Rudo's hands. They've been burned, blackened since childhood. Officially, this is supposed to be from domestic abuse. But is that really it? Or is this a much bigger clue? Maybe a direct connection to the Watchman or to the energy behind vital instruments. Regto, before dying, gave Rudo the 3R gloves, and that raises more questions. How did he get those gloves? Did he know Rudo's destiny? How much truth was Regto hiding? It's clear this character had way more secrets than he let on. 5. The enigma of Tamzy Caines. Now, let's talk about one of the most shocking characters in the story, Tamzy Caines. At first, he shows up as a friendly cleaner, always smiling, seemingly trustworthy. But then comes the bombshell. Tamzy was the one who killed Regto. Yes, he murdered Rudo's mentor. But the reveal doesn't stop there. He didn't do it out of blind hatred or personal gain. Tamzy himself explains that his intention was to make Rudo come out of his shell. In other words, to awaken the boy's hidden potential. That changes everything. From cruel villain, he becomes a much more complex figure, someone manipulating events to push the protagonist toward growth. Of course, this only raises more questions. Why did he want so badly for Rudo to awaken? What's his bigger plan? Tamzy has lines that suggest he knows the reality of the whole all too well, as if he lived through the same pain as Rudo. Was he a tribe folk too? Was Regto his mentor as well? And did he feel jealous of how Regto treated Rudo? This ambiguity is what makes Tamzy so intriguing. Is he a villain? An anti-hero? A potential ally? So far, the author hasn't given us all the answers, and that keeps him at the center of fan debates. 6. Mysterious characters and loose threads. On top of the big mysteries, Gachiakuta also has smaller pieces that haven't been explained yet, but which keep us curious. Kuro, a shady informant who shows up here and there but whose true motives remain unclear. Canis and Makaka, characters connected to the origins of the Givers, but their roles haven't been revealed. Choker Maker, a mysterious collar maker who appeared out of nowhere. What's his importance? Rudo's dark potential, mentioned by Semiyu but never explored. What kind of darkness lies inside the protagonist? Follow Tunito and his hammer. This boy got some spotlight, but his role and the meaning of his hammer are still a mystery. These may seem like small details, but in a manga like Gachiakuta, nothing is ever random. Every seed planted by the author could grow into a massive story arc later. So there you have it, guys. The biggest mysteries of Gachiakuta so far. We talked about the origin of the sphere and the whole, the secrets of Givers and vital instruments, the enigma of the Watchman, Rudo's dark past, the plot involving Regto and Tamzy, plus several mysterious characters and loose ends. What makes this series so addictive is exactly this. Every answer brings more questions. It feels like the author wants us to theorize, debate, and build expectations with every chapter. And you can bet, the deeper we go into the story, the more shocking the reveals will be. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these mysteries intrigues you the most? Do you think the Watchman is a god? Is Tamzy really a villain or more of a twisted mentor? And who was Rudo's father, really? Drop your theories in the comments. I'd love to read them. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next content. We'll definitely be talking more about Gachiakuta here, because this manga never stops surprising us. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.